this left wheel was loose. So I worried about the fact that it could have a bad hub and or bad spline, and maybe that was the problem. Now, I managed to tighten this nut up a bit. I actually took off one of the washers behind it and turned the nut around because the threads are damaged. Now, either the threads in the nut or the shaft are the problem, and I can't really tell which. They both look a little worn. So can't put as much pressure on it as it calls for, but I did get enough on it to get the wheel tight. So I ordered a jam nut for it, and hopefully that will solve that problem, and that's coming in this week, hopefully maybe beginning of next. The other problem I have is the starter motor on this refused to engage this afternoon, so I came out and pulled the starter and to take a look at it. And fortunately, when I started to take the starter apart, as soon as I wiggled it at all, a bunch of pieces started to clank off of the end of it into the inside of my bell housing. So the Bendix basically was ready to fall apart, which is probably why it wasn't engaging in the first place. So as I took the starter motor out, most of the pieces of the Bendix decided to stay inside. So now I've got a problem. I got a bunch of pieces inside the bell housing, and I need to get them out of there. So trying to figure out how to access the inside of that bell housing. I don't think I'm going to have a lot of luck going through this opening where the starter motor goes in. It's a pretty good size opening, and I don't know, maybe if I get a borescope and a magnet, I might be able to get the pieces out. But the other option is to take something apart to make a whole opening. And it looks like there's a plate here where the shifter is. I think that just goes into the transmission, and that probably won't give me access to the bell housing. But if I take off the steering box, that might give me access to the bell housing here where I can get at it and find those parts. This is mostly empty space in here. You can actually put an auxiliary transmission inside this thing. It's something I actually wanted to do at some point, but I'm not ready to split the tractor today to do that or anytime soon. So probably looking at taking off the steering box and getting access that way. That probably means taking a bunch of stuff apart though. So we'll see. Maybe I'll try to go in through the starter motor opening and do that first. And if that doesn't work out, then maybe I'll take a bunch of stuff apart and get the steering box off and then get in that way. I know if I get in that way, I'll get access to it and I should be all right. But either way, I'm gonna get it going again. I got the steering box off. It's sitting on the linkages here. So now I can see right in there, and as you can see, there's not a lot in there. It's mostly empty space. And what happens is you take this thing out, and auxiliary transmission goes in its place if you want to have the auxiliary transmission in there. So now I should be able to get a flashlight, and I should be able to find all the little pieces, and I will show you those in a minute. Oh, and I didn't have to take the hood all the way off. Okay, I think this might be all the pieces. Appears to be a spring and some kind of a clip, and this which seems to fit on the end of the spring. I'm not sure how this all exactly goes together, but I got it. You can see I got it with my magnet, fishing around in there, and looked through the flashlight, and I think I got all the pieces. I think that's it. So I'm going to go get the starter motor and see how all these things fit together and confirm that this is everything. Okay, I think what we have here is all of the pieces of this Bendix reassembled the way it's supposed to be. At least I think so. So the pieces that were inside the bell housing was this spring-like contraption, this washer-like contraption, and this clip that holds everything together. So in a car, or at least a modern car, you'd have a solenoid that would do this job, but on this old tractor, as this rotates, it drives this gear into engagement with the ring gear to start the tractor. Now I don't know if this will work now the way it is. Maybe I should put it back in and see if it'll work, but I'm afraid it's going to come apart on me again, although I imagine it was this clip here that failed and came apart, let everything come apart. It seems to be holding, so I don't know if it's worth trying it. I've got the new part on order anyway, so I probably won't do it. But it would be nice to get the tractor out of the driveway. Okay. I don't have my microphone connected, so I apologize if the wind picks up a little bit, but I have it all back together, so no more is there a big hole in the top of the transmission where the steering box was, and the solenoid, and it's back on the starter, and the starter is back on the tractor, and everything's bolted down, battery's back in. And I did have to take the oil filter can thing off the side, or I just had to take the bolts off, so this was loose, so I had some movement there to be able to fit that into the tractor. But it went okay, and it's got the new style Bendix on it now. I put the new style Bendix on, and this is the first attempt to actually turn it over. I'm not actually going to start it, although I guess I will turn the fuel on and try to start it. It's been sitting for a few days. It's pretty cold, so I'm not sure if it's going to start. But all I care is that it actually turns over. Let's see if it goes. Here we go. First test. Ready? And she's running. Well, that's a good thing. Tractor's running again. Starter motor is back, and it's got the new style Bendix on it, so in theory that's better.